Hi everyone and welcome back to the Pensive podcast. I'm Chloe and I'm the host of this podcast. As well as hosting this podcast, I'm the creator of Pensive and the NPR method, which is a creative life management system designed to help you get your life in order in a mindful, productive and relaxed way. Today's episode is about being boring. It's something that I've come to embrace for myself fairly recently. This is something I've been thinking about in this kind of season of my life. Also just with the general seasons, as it's wintry, it's autumn, moving into winter, and everything is kind of slowing down. People don't really want to go outside anymore because it's cold and rainy, which, you know, we need that. We need to feed the trees and the plants. So there's reasons for the cold and rain. But I guess this slowness is kind of attributed to more of an introspective time. And I think because there's less to do, it's kind of seen as a bit boring. And in our current climate, this is the cliche bit, guys. In our current climate of like scrolling on apps or whatever, we're kind of rigged to want to do things that are really like explosive and fun and have some kind of wow factor around them. That to me has become boring, weirdly. All the things that I imagine when you're a kid imagining your adult life, you wouldn't think, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk today. I'm gonna sew a quilt. But I want to kind of step back and think about what we consider as the everyday and the mundane. It's getting up, doing the thing that we do every day. Okay, I've done it before. I'm doing it again. What's so special about it? I go to the same place all the time. They know me. I'm a regular. It's boring. I get the same things. I don't really want to push myself out of my comfort zone. Thinking about our repetitive nature or things that we are always surrounded with or situations we always find ourselves in. These things we consider to maybe be boring, repetitive, mundane, and we just go through the motions and repeat them over and over again. I think there is scope for embracing that repetitive, mundane, everyday nature, because there is an aspect of comfort. Like if you watch the same TV, like we always talk about, like I have a comfort TV show and you watch the same thing over and over and you know what's going to happen, you know the tropes, you know who you don't like or who you do like, but it brings you a sense of comfort to rewatch. The same goes for music albums, like listening to the same music that you did when you were 14, just going over and over, listen to that same Paramore album. It's something you like and you enjoy it for what it is, and you've enjoyed it then and you enjoy it now. But what I have been thinking about, especially in terms of going back to this idea of, let's talk about music, for example, like the album. I find that the more I listen to this album, no matter how many times, there's always something in there that I haven't heard before. For example, like if I'm listening to specifically the lyrics, I might find that there's an enunciation that stands out to me that's quite meaningful for this moment. Or if there's like a snare or a kick drum that enters at a certain point in the track that just kind of lifts the whole mood or changes the mood of the song. It's finding the extra little detail, that thing that you may not have heard before on your first, second, third, fourth or 100th listen, or something that you've actually heard before, but now you can hear it in a different way or in a different light because it relates to you and your experiences in a completely different way. When we revisit and go over things, they start to unravel and we discover new layers of meaning. We can put them in different contexts and they no longer just become this package thing that we think we understand completely. They start to have beautiful and more complex layers, and then we can revisit that or look at that in a different way and then have it hold a different meaning for us. There's a lot of albums that I listened to when I was a kid that now as an adult I can actually have a full appreciation for this, idea of things that we've already got and have already experienced and continually experience in our lives that we might see as boring, or we've already had that before, why would we have it again? But there's always reasons to to revisit things. I mean, the other thing is, I'll always go back to nature. I'm looking out my window and there's like trees and the leaves are turning. And how many autumns have I had? This will be my 31st autumn. I've seen the leaves turn. I've seen the temperature drop. I've experienced the temperature drop. But at the same time, every year when you walk outside and you start crunching the leaves underfoot and you start seeing conkers and all these different plants and everything spring up and nature starts reacting differently and squirrels start burrowing, and it's still special every time. It's something that when I was younger is just like, oh, it's autumn, oh, it's cold, oh, that's so boring, oh, I'm gonna have to stay inside because it's so cold. Now I'm just put on a hat because I have significantly less hair, and when you do go outside, it's not cold, it's chilly, it's not bitter, it's kind of refreshing. I start looking at it a bit differently. Hopefully with climate change, things won't change too much. But obviously when the seasons change, you know what to expect. You know that the leaves will turn and the temperature will drop, and in England it gets unreasonably grey. Like, these things are coming. But still, even though it's expected, it's still special. So what I like to do is to try my best to appreciate the mundane, the repetitiveness of my life. The first thing in the morning when I wake up and there's the sun, I was like, thank God for the sun. I love the sun. And of course the sun will be there in the morning, and it's the same every day. I wake up, I'm in the same bed, surrounded by the same things. But the sun is there, and I know it's going to be there, and I know it's going to come through the blinds. It's so nice that the sun is there. And I know that as soon as I step outside, I'll probably see like 2 squirrels and 10 pigeons. But it's so nice that they're there, and I know they're going to be there the next day, and then I can watch them and their silly activities again and again and again. But these are the kind of things I do for myself. I think everyone's everyday looks a bit different or a lot different depending on where you live and what you like. What is it that you could look at in your everyday? What can you reimagine in your everyday? And what do you appreciate in your everyday? And so while I'm talking about being boring or embracing the mundane, I think where this kind of came from is the idea that you need to kind of be the main character energy. And of course, in your own life, you are the main character. You're the star of the show, baby. Like, you can take it to the top. I think always carrying this kind of main character energy makes you less of an observer and a participant. And I think those are equally as important as being the main character, which is more of an active role, more of creative, as in a creator of your life. I think there's so much to be said to sit back and gaze upon and reflect on your surroundings. And the other thing is being an active or just a participant in other people's lives. There has to be a moment where you step outside of yourself and your immediate circumstances, and we all have to rally around our friends and our family and other people around us and have that sense of community. So how does that relate to being boring? Because there's this idea of like, okay, I've got to go, I've got to do this, like I've got to be explosive, I've got to take on this and that very much involves your world and your ideas and your interests, and that's interesting for you. But sometimes taking a backseat to your own life and being boring in what you consider boring for you is going to be like a moment of deep appreciation on the part of someone else, is what I mean. So in that sense, be boring for someone else, be boring, be the boring friend that turns up is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes choose to be a side character, not necessarily in your own life, but know that you can't always be the main person, the center of attention at any given time. Even though myself do love a bit of attention, love a bit of look at me, but it's not always about us. Especially when it comes to noticing, observing, reframing, all these lovely words. there's got to be a moment of self-removal, being a bit less navel-gazy, I suppose, and doing those boring things and reading your email newsletter, which is my example of being a side character, because someone else wrote these words, someone else put their thought into it, and you are participating and reflecting on what they wrote. And so you can dive into their psyche, their context, their situation, their thoughts, whatever. You can have an understanding for them in that moment and be boring in in being reflective and being passive for a moment. But it's not quite passive because you're still reading, so it's pretty active. But I think hopefully we're all on the same page about what I mean by being boring. Because honestly, if you say to someone, my pastime is signing up to email newsletters, that sounds so boring. But that's what I like. I like my email newsletters. I'm in Dua Lipa's book club. She has a great newsletter. You should sign up. This is not promotion for Dua Lipa's book club, but I think it's really good. The other thing that comes to mind about being boring is, I think maybe there's a fear of the mainstream and doing what everyone else does, because that's completely boring. And I personally fall into this gatekeepy mindset. I think I very recently have been trying to branch out my interests and become more niche as possible. At the same time, if a lot of people like something, then there must be something enjoyable and value in it. There's no reason to say that this thing is mainstream. I don't know. Labubu. I have no idea. Labubu's a mainstream. Everyone has a Labubu. Is boring. Okay, that's my example. That's the only one I've got right now. This one, like personally for me, is quite, I don't know why I picked that as an example, because for me, the whole like trinket culture very much stems from like, well, I've been a part of like Japanese subculture and kawaii culture for so long that trinkets are just like boring, quite frankly. This is like quite boring. Like everyone has trinkets and doodads and bit bops and things like floating off our person. So when the Labubu craze came along, it was like, oh my God, guys, we've been doing this for ages and everyone's discovered bit bops and doodads and keychains. But again, I think I also have to say, I enjoy my trinkets. Let other people enjoy it. It might be boring to me that they've only just caught up. You just got to let people enjoy things. And the fact that they've discovered it and people are enjoying it, even if it is like a trend, it's quite a fun trend, to be honest. I don't have a Labubu. I mean, I don't endorse buying things en masse and ending up in landfills, but I think the concept of us enjoying a silly little thing as a collective, that's where I find the positive in it, not the it's quite unsustainable and everyone's going to throw away their Labubus at the end of this. That I just But if we just move on from that and focus on the concept of us collectively appreciating trinkets, I think we can all just sit with that idea. Ultimately, I think I just want to say that everyone has their idea of what it means to be unique, and everyone has their idea of what it means to be boring. And those things can very much intersect and overlap. You know, my idea of boring can be someone's idea of like fresh, new, and innovative. So even if it's boring to you, don't take away that joy from someone else, and don't take away that joy from yourself. Like I said at the beginning, with the repetitive nature and the expected turn of the seasons and revisiting music albums and TV shows, etc. There's always space for inspiration, space for joy, space for positivity within your perception, other people's perception of what it is to embrace the mundane and the everyday. Because life is to be enjoyed. Life is to be enjoyed. You get up and imagine if you're just thinking, oh, I wish it was tomorrow already because of X, Y, Z, and I have to go through this day because it's the same as every other day. How annoying is that? Now I think about it, even for me, there was a point where I was getting up and it just felt like Groundhog Day. I just felt like every day is the same day. And I would just sit up and think it's the same day again. And that idea became very painful because I was just existing and I wasn't living. So once I started figuring out what it was that I could appreciate in what I already had around me, that's when the boring became beautiful. That's when the everyday became fun and explorative, and like the things that I already had with me became just so much more exciting. I don't particularly have to go out and pursue new things all the time. Like obviously I love a new thing, but not every day all the time trying to fill some dopamine void in myself, because I already have all the things around me that I could need and want, and that has made me feel very emotionally fulfilled. And also just the idea of repurposing things that I already have, and that makes them brand new. And that to a lot of people is very boring. The fact that all my hobbies, all my interests revolve around tree pulp and ink. But for me, finding a new way to use my notebooks is so exciting. Like recently I found so many ways to repurpose and reuse my notebooks. I've got into solo journaling RPGs where you game via journaling. You create scenarios and you journal and you roll dice, and they like send curveballs at you, and then you have to journal the situation and how you get out of it. And you're just there on your own, just journaling. It's really fun. It is a game. It's fun for me. And because of that, I'm looking at it. If you're watching, you'll be able to see. But if not, I'm sorry you won't get the visual. But I did recently, I made this. This is my like RPG notebook that I just made. Because I thought, why not like make a cute little thing? I punched the wrong side. But it's fine. It's unique and special and fresh, and it really enhances my gameplay and it makes me feel happy looking at it. My message to you is, if there's anything that you think is boring but beautiful, don't put yourself down over it. Just say, no, actually, like, that's just fun for me. It's boring for you, but I like it, and that's what matters. So I think I'm going to wrap this up by just saying, embrace the mundane, embrace the everyday. Every day has something to offer us, whether it's new or the same. And the same is great, because the same is just as good as it was before. And if you don't want more of the same, then find something in the same that's just a little bit better and build on it. Just try and find something positive in the repetitiveness and boringness. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really appreciate all of your support, and stay boring. Stay boring.